This is a full tutorial of my arrangement of Can't Help Falling in Love. If you'd like to hear the playthrough, you can check the link in the description. Two things to keep in mind as we go through this. First, this is for fingerstyle playing, although you could pretty easily adapt it to pick style playing, I think. And second, pay attention to the chords above the music. That is going to help you find good fingerings. We start off with a C chord, but we only play as far as the second string because that's where our melody note is. In general, you want your melody note to be the highest sounding note of the chord so it pops out. So there's a C with melody on string 2. Next it goes to an E minor chord, but probably not like you've played an E minor chord before. We have an open 6th string, and then we're playing strings 1, 2, and 3, and really all this is, it's the fingering for a D minor chord, except you're moving everything up 2 frets. So we have our C chord to our funny E minor chord. Then we move to an A minor chord, but you're playing only fingers 1 and 2 of an A minor chord along with the open 5th string. Play that with fingers 1 and 2, because on beat 3 you're going to need your 3rd finger to play this low G. And as you play that low G, keep finger 1 and 2 down, keep that ringing. So keep it ringing. And then finger 4 on this D on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, an open E, and then an F chord, just a 4-string F chord, a C chord, but now with our melody on string 1, and then a G over B chord using our middle 4 strings. So that's finger 2 on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and then open 4th string, open 3rd string, and then 4th finger on this D on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Make sure you use your 4th finger there because you're going to need your 3rd finger on beat 1 for this low G. So you're going to play that G over B, and then move to the low G. And when you play the low G, go ahead and mute the G over B chord just so it's nice and clean. I'm just doing that by, I play the chord. As I play the low G, I just touch those strings again with my fingers. And then while I'm holding that low G, I play that 3rd string G. I'm going to play that much again so you can hear how it's all put together. C chord, melody on string 2. Our E minor shaped like a D minor. 2 finger A minor. Keep that ringing. F chord. C chord. G over B. And then to low G, and then this open G on the 3rd string. Measure 5 includes some double stops. Double stops are where you're playing 2 strings at the same time. Our first double stop is this low F on 6th string, 1st fret, and at the same time you're playing this A, 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So you play those at the same time. Our next double stop is this low G on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, along with the open 2nd string B. And then you play a G sharp on 4th fret. The easiest way to do that is just slide your 3rd finger over. So we have our F double stop here, our G double stop with our little slide, and it goes to an A minor with melody on string 2. That's as far as we play because our melody note is on the 2nd string. Then we have this triplet, 3 notes in this case, in the space of a half note or 2 beats. You can play these with any finger you like. This is a D, 3rd fret 2nd string, then an open 1st string E, and then 1st fret F on the 1st string. So we have our A minor and our triplet, then a C chord, melody on string 1, G over B, same G over B you played earlier, and another C chord, but this time with the melody on string 2. So only play as far as string 2 so the melody note pops out. And then we have just some filler notes here. This is over a G chord, but the only finger you really need is your 3rd finger on the low G, 3rd fret, 6th string. The other 3 notes are open, and the counting for that measure is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. I'm going to go back to measure 5 and do that much again. Double stops, slide 3rd finger, A minor, we have our single note triplets, C chord, G over B, C chord again, melody on string 2, and then our filler G, 3 and 4, and that leads into measure 9. Measures 9 through 16 are the exact same as measures 1 through 8, except for measure 16, where we have a different chord. Now we have a chance to review all of what we played so far. So we have a C, melody on string 2, funny E minor, 2-finger A minor, 3rd finger on the low G, F, C chord, G over B with fingers 2 and 4, our double stops, slide, 3rd finger, A minor, melody on string 2, triplets, C chord, G over B, and C chord again. Measure 8 ended on a G chord, measure 16 ends on a B7 chord, but we're only using part of the B7 chord. So for this B7 chord, normally you play your 4th finger on this 2nd fret F sharp on the 1st string. We don't need that note here because we're only playing the middle 4 strings, so I am only playing finger 2, 1, and 3 of the B7, and then that 4th note is just the open B. The counting is 3 and 4 and that leads to the bridge. So the counting from that measure is 1, 2 on the C chord, and 3 and 4 and then we're off and running to the bridge. Measure 17, the beginning of the bridge, has a lot going on, so let's unpack it. It starts off on an E minor chord, and our counting is 1 and a 2 and, or like a river, and then flows on the B7. Make sure you're playing that E minor with fingers 2 and 3. The reason for that is because finger 2 is now in common with the B7, so when you move from that E minor to the B7, you can keep your 2nd finger down and just pivot around pretty easily to that B7. Again, our rhythm is 1 and a 2 and, then it moves to just a partial B7. Only these 3 notes on strings 5, 4, and 3. Same fingering we used in measure 16, finger 2, 1, and 3. Now when you move from the E minor to the B7, that last note I played, that open B, mute that B when you move to the B7, because we want that A, the highest note of the B7 there, to pop out, because that's our melody. Like a river flows, we want that note to sound. And the easiest way to mute that string, whatever finger you just used to play that string, in this case I'm using my 3rd finger, just touch it again to stop it. So I just touch it again, and now I have a nice, easy 3-note B7 chord. After you've worked out measure 17, next 2 measures are the same. So here's measure 17. Measure 18, you do it again. Try to bring out that melody as much as you can. And now it's a little different. We have an E minor, but we're playing a G at the top of that E minor chord. We're going to play that with our 4th finger, and you'll see why in a minute. So that's 3rd fret on the 1st string. Aside from that, we're playing all open strings. The 6th string and strings 2 and 3, plus that G up at the top. And we need that G because it's the melody note. So we play a couple Gs. The reason we're playing this with our 4th finger is because when we get to the A7, we want to keep our 4th finger down as we play the A7. And it's just easier to do that if you play that with your 4th finger. So we have our E minor, keep that G ringing on the 1st string, and then pluck those 3 notes of the A7 chord there, the 5th string open, the 3rd string open, and 2nd string on the 2nd fret with your 2nd finger. So hold the G, and then just lift your pinky up and down to play that E, G, E. And we have a D minor, just a straight up D minor, and then just a straight up G7. And notice those little wavy lines by the D minor and the G7. That just means you can do a finger roll, which I do a lot of anyway, you may have noticed, or you could just do a strum. It just means you're not playing all the notes at the same time. You just want to play them in succession. I'm going to play the bridge again so you can hear all that put together. E minor chord with finger 2 and 3. Mute the second string. And then fourth finger on that G on the third fret. Keep it down. And then either finger roll on a D minor, or you can strum. Measures 22 through 29 are the exact same as measures 1 through 8, except for measure 29 where we have a different chord. We're going to pick it up in measure 26 where the double stops are. We have our F double stop, fingers 1 and 2, and then our G double stop, sliding the third finger. There's an A minor again. Our triplets, all like before, C chord, G over B, and now instead of going to a C chord like it did before, we go to an A minor, and that is an A minor with the melody note on the second string. So we have C, G over B, to our A minor, and then fourth finger on this low G on beat 3, and then play the open third string for your G, and then we go back to our double stops again. G double stop, sliding the third finger, A minor with melody on string 2, and then we have some more double stops in measure 31 over a triplet. That's going to be first finger on this D, second string third fret, second finger on the B, third string fourth fret. So play those two notes at the same time, and then your first finger will slide along the same string, second string, just move it over to the first fret, and you're going to play strings 1 and 2. And string 1 is open, string 2 has your first finger down on that first fret, and then we have a D and an F. That's first finger on the F, first fret, first string, and third finger on the D. That's going to be third fret, second string. So that's going to be B and D, slide finger over, and finger 1 and 3. Let me go back to the double stops, measure 30, slide, A minor, and here's those double stops we just went over. And then it goes to a C chord, G over B, and a final C chord with melody on string 2. That's as far as we play, and it has one of those rolls. So you can either do a little finger roll, or you can do one final strum. If you'd like to order a copy of this arrangement, you can check the link in the description. And for more guitar lessons and arrangements, please subscribe.